Alright Lanta, so Bleach Brave Souls has a lot of characters, especially a game that's been out for almost 9 years. Almost every character in the Bleach universe, besides Bounce, are included in this game, but unfortunately not every character is treated the same. Some characters just don't get the justice they deserve. I mean, if Kaname played this game, he would be absolutely livid with some of the treatment these characters get. So I thought it'd be a fun idea to make a list of 10 characters, not in particular order, of characters that just simply deserved better. Whether it's the one character they only have in this game not being good enough, or certain characters that have gotten a few characters, but not a single one of them has lived up to the character that they deserve in the game at Bleach Brave Souls. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So at 10th place, we have Bruno. Now, Bruno's gotten a really good character recently. At the start of last year, we had the Parasol version of Bruno, and he's a really good character. And as cool as that character is, I like playing with canon Bleach characters, canon Burn the Witch characters. And Bruno's character in-game is really cool. Visually, this character looks great, and when I play with him every month in Senkaman, I just get a tad bit disappointed thinking about how good this character been, maybe if he released a month or two later. And the reason why I say that is because he was obviously an arena character. He was a character designed to push the arena game mode, which recently just released, and because of that, outside of arena, he wasn't nearly as good as he could have been. And by that, if you don't know, he only has Frenzy plus 2 in arena. Outside of arena, Frenzy plus 1 and like a 50% berserker. Now, at the time of this character's release, it was good. At the time, he was still one of the better characters in the game. But since 2 years have passed since then, the character fell off super quick. You know, had arena not been a thing, or had they not limited his damage output to only be in Frenzy plus 2 in arena, I feel like even to today, he would have still been a really good character, just like 6th Anniversary Aizen. So I'm starting the list off with him because while he wasn't the worst character on release, he was actually still really good. He did fall off pretty quickly, and had his Frenzy plus 2 skill not been locked behind arena, he still would have been a really good character. In that sense, he kind of deserved better. In 9th place, we have Kougo Ginjo. In my opinion, every main villain of Bleach deserves their flowers in this game. They deserve at least one overpowered character, even if it was for only one brief moment. Now, I know Fullbringers and the Fullbringer arc isn't the most popular arc, but still, he was the final antagonist of one particular arc, and to see him constantly get the mid-month treatment really does disappoint me. His first introduction to the game, he was a really cool character, looked amazing, but unfortunately, he was the side piece to the much more important character, the main selling point, that being Fullbring Bankai Ichigo. And due to that, Kougo himself didn't even get Frenzy. For an end of month character, he was disappointing. He was more such as a character to sell the new low stamina damage build that they were going for, that never really kicked off. But ever since then, every Kougo that we have gotten has just been mid-month characters. I forget how cool of a character Kougo was. I forget sometimes that he was the final villain of a certain arc because of how Kayla treated him in this game just by making him another mid-month character. He's also at the same time the only final antagonist of an arc to not get an anniversary character, and I would have loved to see an original form for Kougo. But since we're now coming up to the 9th anniversary, and now that the focus is on 1000 Year Blood War, I don't think Kougo's gonna ever be an anniversary highlight. Maybe for the 7th anniversary it would have worked. Now I do know, and I am aware that he did get a Calm for You Old version, and that was an end of month character, and as far as normal attack damage characters did go, he was serviceable. But as far as strong SP meta characters have gone, Kougo's never had that, and for a final antagonist of a certain arc, I feel like that's a bit sad. Kougo, in my opinion, deserved better. In 8th place, we have a character that surprisingly has not been remade, and that's why he deserves better. Let's Steal Uryu. One of Uryu's coolest and most iconic moments in the Bleach series, which only has one character in-game, and even with that character, on release, he was considered one of the worst characters in the game. He's one of those weird yet unique characters in the game where his no attack string is only one hit. His Sobum also has like a really delayed yet core effect to it that I would actually maybe not mind seeing return. And Uryu as a character has gotten a lot of forms in this game. He has a 7th anniversary form, so Uryu isn't really short of getting new overpowered characters, but Let's Do is such a cool moment in the Bleach series, especially for Uryu's character. Dare I say, at its peak. But to only have one version of this character in-game, and that character being considered one of the worst characters on release, is a bit sad. Would love to see his character get remade, and if he ever did get a remake, I would hope that it's an end-of-month worthy character, because this is a really cool moment, and I would love to see a new Let's Do Uryu with some updated visuals in the year 2024. Next up, we have Spirits Are Forever With You Sergeant. I'm a big fan of Sergeant. I like Sergeant, and I like this character, but unfortunately on release, he was a tad bit disappointing, wasn't he? With some really cool visuals, unfortunately at the end of the day, this character was designed to be a counter to two characters in the game, that being 1000 Year Blood War Chad and also 1000 Year Blood War Yuha. Yuha at the time was the most dominant Brave Battle character in the game, and given that this character was designed to counter two characters, you would think he would have a nice place in the meta, and for a brief moment in time he kind of did, but he was never really the counter Caleb was selling it to be. Of course, the idea of a character countering the best character at the time, that being Yuha Buck, you would really want to summon for this character, and unfortunately, he kind of just ended up falling short. And because he was designed strictly to go against those two characters, Chad and also Yuha, it meant that any other character in the meta had such easy pickings going against Sergeant, especially given his captain affiliation. And it was ultimately due to that affiliation that even the two characters he was technically countering, Chad and also Yuha, they were also doing more damage to him, and equally they themselves were a counter to Sergeant. His main appeal was that he was going to be the Yuha counter, and he just never really was that. So much so that they eventually made another counter that really did put the nail in the coffin for this character's usability. He's still over a decent character, but personally I never pulled him and I never needed him. My account never hurt that I was missing this character, which is kind of a shame because I really do like Sergeant, and I feel like Caleb would maybe just better off making him an SP character instead of including him as the obligatory Brave Battle character every X amount of months. Next up we have Grmy. Now this one might be a surprise. Grmy is overall a solid character, especially on the time of his release. He definitely wasn't unusable, but as cool as a character as Grmy is, ultimately on release he was just considered a worse version of Candice. Now the main reason for that is because during that era of Bleach Brave Souls, every character kind of played the same. In terms of skills, everyone had the exact same skills. Damage output was very, very similar across the entire game. Every character essentially had Frenzy +1 and just Frenzy +1, or maybe that with a 20% Berserker. So due to that reason, there was a big factor on what strong attacks do characters actually have. If you had melee collision attacks, you were most likely considered one of the best characters in the game. And if you had any type of ranged collision attack, well, that means the character quote-unquote got shafted. And since Candice was one of the best mind characters in the game at the time, and Grmy released him with the exact same affiliation and also killer combination, he was always going to be compared to Candice. And since Grmy was unfortunately given a worse SA1, he was again just considered a worse version of Candice. He of course did have the benefit of being immune to every stars wins, but back at that point in time, it didn't matter that much, and ultimately he was just always going to be in the shadow of Candice, which is crazy to me because Gremy's a cool character. I don't know, I feel like he deserved a bit better. Lucky for us, he is going to get a new character this year, of course, with his remake alongside Kenpachi, and I'm sure he's going to be a really good character. But I feel like for his first time in the game, he deserved more than just being in Candice's shadow. Next up, we have Esot. Now, Esot, in my opinion, as I've already stated multiple times, is one of my favorite characters in the game. I think he's actually a really good character. And lucky for us, we are going to get a new Esot later this year, alongside Bankai Rukia, in a really cool form that is his Vote Standing form. And it's because of that I'm not really putting Esot super high because we know he is going to get a new character eventually, but man, did Esot's first character in the game deserve better. And again, that's not to say he's a bad character, but expectations for Esot's first character in the game definitely was not met. The ultimately main reason for it is because he was a mid-month character, and it was definitely Keller's way of making a summon on mid-month, something that we don't rarely ever do. And because of that, it meant that Esot himself wasn't really the best character in the game. He was a good character, but again, people are expecting much more for a very hyped character like Esot was. A few months prior, we had access to someone like Kougo, one of the most broken characters in the game and such a cool character. Because of how good Kougo was, the same expectation was put on a character like Esot, if not a high expectation, given that he was by far one of the most hyped characters in Season 1 of 1000 Year Blood War. He was teased to us 4 years ago in the 1000 Year Blood War story mode, and ever since then, we've been wanting a playable Esot in game. Every time we had a 1000 Year Blood War banner that didn't include Esot, there was going to be a bit of disappointment. So it was very sad to see that Esot was a mid-month character, and again, while he was a good character, he doesn't deserve just to be good. He deserved to be broken. Best character in the game, easily top 3, no debate. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. Now again, as already stated, luckily for us, we are likely to get a new Esot sometime in the future, and it's likely that that Esot will live up to expectation, but who knows at this point. They kind of fumbled the current Esot, let's hope they don't do the same for his Vote Standing form. Next up, and this one honestly hurts me every time I talk about it, we have Full Hollow Ichigo. Now, Full Hollow Ichigo, for those that are unaware, is one of my favorite forms of Ichigo. Maybe my favorite form of Ichigo itself. In fact, this character right here was the sole reason why I even continued playing Bleach Brave Souls when I was on the verge of quitting over 7 years ago. So Full Hollow Ichigo has always had a soft spot in my heart. and his first initial release was honestly a good character. Normal attack damage characters at the time were very comparable to SP characters. There was a valid debate whether an SP character or an attack character was better. Since then, of course, SP characters have gotten significantly better, and now it's definitely not a debate. SP characters are the way you play Bleach Brave Souls. So that's why I was very excited and surprised at the same time to see the 4th anniversary be celebrated with 2 Ichigos, that being Full Hollow and also Mugetsu. But that excitement quickly turned into disappointment when we found out that Full Hollow Ichigo was another normal attack damage character, this time though for Brave Battles. They really made an anniversary character, a Brave Battle character. A character as cool as Full Hollow. Visually, this character looked amazing, and still to this day, people will say this Sword with Ichigo is one of the best in the entire game, and I definitely agree. Such a cool character being tied behind the Brave Battle game modes. And then the worst part was, he was not even that good in Brave Battles. The way they designed him was to be a counter to 1000 Year Blood War Yachiru, who at the time was the best character in the Brave Battle meta, but at this point in time she was also kind of falling off, especially since they already made a counter to her with Carfield Noritora. So ultimately what we did for the 4th anniversary was have one of the anniversary headliners be a Brave Battle character, have it be one of Ichigo's coolest yet rawest forms, just be a counter to Unohana, who already had an existing counter that countered her better. Again, once more, another character that rarely left much of an impact in the Brave Battle meta. We've had plenty of Brave Battle characters that haven't left their mark on the meta, but having it as an anniversary character is by far one of the worst decisions Caleb ever made. And it also hurts every time we go by another year because this character is yet to get a remake. 4 years later, we've yet to get a playable Full Hollow Ichigo. And that's sad. It really is. Moving into our top 3, you're going to notice a potential pattern with these 3 characters. First up, we have Kuriyashiki. As a Kenpachi and his first time being playable in Bleach Brave Souls, he already had a fan base. I mean, it doesn't take much selling to sell a Kenpachi to the Bleach community, let's be honest. But ultimately, his biggest downfall was being a Brave Battle character. As of right now, it looks like this is going to be his only playable character in the game, and to have it as a Brave Battle character is a tad bit sad, and in a way he did deserve better. Now, to be fair, he only does so much in the actual novel. His sole character was just to serve as a reason on why Aaroniero became a Kenpachi, and with that, Kuriyashiki really doesn't demonstrate much. But even with that little screen time, he did leave a mark, and I feel like he's a really cool character that I would love to know more about. His abilities were kind of cool, especially with Shikai, and visually this character was great. I would love to play with this character, and while I did get my usage out of him in Brave Battles, again, every game I played with him, I was like, you know, this would have been much cooler if I was actually playing with the character as a playable SP character. He's an overall cool character that just unfortunately got the Brave Battle treatment, and as your only potential character in the game, yeah, maybe he deserved a bit better. In second place, we have his fellow Kenpachi, Aaroniero. Now, when the Spirits Are Forever With You collaboration first got announced, not many people knew about the characters. All we knew was that Aaroniero was a Kenpachi and he had quite the broken Bankai. It was fair not many people had an opinion on this character because we didn't have the novels translated, and we still don't. All we knew is that he looked cool and he was absolutely broken. We also at the same time recently wrapped up the Carfield collaboration, and Tokinada, the final villain of the Carfield story, had a great character in-game. He left his mark on Bleach Brave Souls, was one of the best and coolest characters on release, so because of just Tokinada's character and how they handled him, there was a lot of expectation for Aaroniero to get the same, if not better, treatment. I mean, to many people, myself included, this was the biggest name to come from the Spirits Forever With You collaboration. And when he released, he was a good character, and that was about it. He was just good. Caleb did a great job implementing this character into the game. Visually, this character looks amazing, and there was a lot of cool attention to detail. His killers making sense. Very rarely do killers make sense. His Bankai was somewhat translated into the game, given that he had a chance to dodge against Hollows and Arankas, he was immune to every stat summon, and he could also heal himself. His Storm looks great. Everything about this character was amazing, but unfortunately he just kind of fell short. He was not as good as people wanted him to be. Just like Tokinada, people wanted this character to be the best character in the game, and instead he ended up being maybe debatable best speed character in the game at a time where the speed attribute was one of the worst in the game. He also then got replaced 3 months later by a much better 7th anniversary Uryu, so that also didn't help. But while this character wasn't bad by any means, he just wasn't as good as people wanted him to be. And as one of the bigger names that come from the Spirits Are Forever With You collaboration, a character that was constantly being compared to Tokinada, this character really did deserve to be one, if not the best character in the game, that would have aged really, really well. Unfortunately, he just wasn't there. And for our final character, we have Auro Michibane. You're seeing a pattern here where we have these light novel characters, first time playable in Bleach Brave Souls, and for the better half until remakes happen, the only time playable in Bleach Brave Souls. So you would really like to see these characters leave their mark on the game as one of the better characters in the game. Unfortunately for Auro, she was just kind of mediocre. As already mentioned with Grmy's release, since damage output for every character was basically the same, Frenzy +1 and 20% Berserker if you were lucky, there was a massive focus and importance on the strong attacks the characters do get. In 2024, if you have range collision attacks but a really good damage output, you could be potentially fine with it. But back then, there was no saving a bad strong attack kit. And unfortunately for Auro, she got a bad strong attack kit. Being classed as one of the most powerful characters in the Bleach universe, the strongest Fullbringer, and also having a really cool design, there was a lot of anticipation for this character, especially since, again, Tokinata set a high example. Tokinata was one of the best characters in the game, so there was a lot of hype leading up to one of the final Can't for Your banners, and Auro is one of those characters that a lot of people are looking forward to, especially because that she was a waifu. Unfortunately, on her release, bad strong attacks was what held her down, and she became a character that really wasn't that playable. Sure, Auro fans got their use out of her, but again, she was just kind of mediocre. As one of the highlights for the Can't collaboration, I feel like she did deserve better. And again, I'm hoping that sometime this year, maybe next year, we do start to get some type of remix for Can't characters. And Auro is definitely going to be at the top of my list for a character that needs to be just a really good character. Because unfortunately, the first character and only character in the game was kind of a miss. With that said though, hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 video. Again, not really in particular order. It somewhat is for the most part, at least the top 3 are. Maybe I missed a few characters, so let me know in the comments below what characters do you think deserve better. And here's hoping whatever character that is, potentially gets a remake in the year 2024. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Take care and peace.